Bismillah, alhamdulillah, wa salatu wa salam wa rasulullah. You're watching and listening to Islam Tomorrow, broadcasting almost live today, all the way from right here in Mission Viejo. We're up here in California. We went west, young man, we went west, and here we are. You can't go any more west than this before you get wet in the Pacific Ocean. By the way, I just came back from Australia. Did I tell you about this? Just came back from Australia, and that's the subject we want to talk about tonight, is what's happening with the dawah, with our youth in other countries, in particular what just happened in Australia. And so you're in line, you're in time, and this is the right place to be. We're having a good time here tonight. I've had a successful and wonderful trip over there, alhamdulillah, mashallah, over and back. And you know, it's kind of special for me because every time I go out of the country, when I come back, I get randomly selected to be interviewed, interrogated. No, but seriously, I had some good news, by the way, Hassan. You know what they told me? The American Airlines told me, no longer are you going to be randomly selected. I said, that's fantastic. They said it's permanent. Every time you go, you're going to get it. So, alhamdulillah. It's nice to know that I can get a free foot massage somewhere, right? You know, they make you take off the shoe and look at it. Alhamdulillah. That's nice. And a little arm stretching and everything's good for you. Whatever. And this time, it's funny because they asked me when I come in, what kind of Muslim are you? I said, what do you mean? They said, well, you know, there's different kinds of Muslim. Which kind are you? Are you Shiite? Are you Sufi? Are you Goofy? Or, you know. So, this is a great crowd. They're laughing at the dumbest jokes. We're going to have fun tonight. Alhamdulillah. Well, anyhow, they said, we want you to tell us what kind of Muslim you are. I said, fat? Old? I don't know. What do you want? And they said, you have to be one group, something. We want to know what kind of Muslim you are. I said, I'm a Christian Muslim. They said, a what? I said, well, I was a Christian. I became a Muslim, so I'm a Christian Muslim. They wrote something down in the book and said, okay. I think I just started a new tariqah of some kind. Alhamdulillah. We'll call it Tariqah Estasia. Let's talk about what's happening with dawah in other countries. Particularly, I want to mention, of course, what just happened in Australia. And I'm learning, by the way, when I was down there, I tried to pick up their language, you know, and introduce them to some of the language we have. For instance, in New York, they have their own language. They put everything together real fast. You don't say, well, what's up with you today? You just go, what's up? That's New York, you know. Forget about it. And I was teaching them about this. And they were teaching me how they speak down there in the land down under. And they say Australia, like this. And they don't pronounce hardly any R's. And whenever they pronounce anything that's got TH in it, they pronounce it like an F. With or without you, we're going to go anyway, you know. And one of the other things that I learned is, I didn't see that movie with Mick Dundee in it. What's it called? Crocodile something another. Anyway, they say, "G'day, mate." It's just G-D-A-Y, G'day. No worries. And I tried to translate that to Arabic, Mafi Mushkila. So, you know, it works. Alhamdulillah. Now, while I was there, I noticed something, that the brothers there, alhamdulillah, they're mostly Lebanese community down there, but there's from all countries. But I noticed that they hang out together a lot. They hang together pretty tight. The Muslims are with each other. But it's really not just a Muslim thing, it's an Arab thing. And they hang together more for that than anything else, not because of Islam. So what happens is that whenever there's any confrontation, and there is some between Christian and the Muslims down there, it becomes more like a feud. And it's not really, I don't think it's really that good, because they seem to want to rope themselves off in one area. All the Muslims are here, and anybody else can be somewhere else, but don't come in our area of town. We've been talking about this program with them since December, and I said, you know, guys, the thing we have to do as Muslims is assimilate to a certain extent. We cannot be just us and them with a line in between, because that's what you do in battle. That is not what you do in life. You have to get along with people. And they said, well, we're protecting ourselves from the kufr and the shirk and all the other things. I said, well, maybe. But on the other hand, you're also keeping the people from knowing what's the message of La ilaha illallah. To the extent that somebody, and I don't need to mention anybody's names or anything because it's not my point to do that, but somebody had decided that they wanted to do a big debate. An American wanted to go over there and debate with one of the top ministers over there. Now, this is a guy that holds a position in the parliament because they don't have separation of church and state like we do here in the United States. So this man that they want to debate happens to be a doctor, a PhD in theology, and he knows his religion really, really well. He's got an answer for everything you can come up with. He'll find some way to dance around the answer to it. And he has a political position. Plus, they had talked about having a federal judge sit in on the debate and then decide at the end which religion is correct. And I said, man, you guys are asking for the worst kind of trouble that anybody ever asked for. Why would you do such a thing as this? All you're going to do is put yourself in a lot of difficulty for no reason. And when it's all over with, you guys are going to have a bigger problem with the non-Muslims than you've got now. You're going to have a bigger problem with each other than you've got now. And the person who does this debate, he's going to go back to the United States and claim to be famous now because he debated somebody in public and blah, blah, blah. And that's all that's going to happen. And I quoted to them the same thing that I said in the speech that night, because guess what? I wound up going over there and trying to resolve the issue by actually talking with the man myself. But I said these words, and I heard it from a Baptist preacher, that a debate brings about a lot of heat, but not very much light. And Islam is all about light. We're trying to enlighten ourselves and others to gain knowledge, to know how to get to Jannah, to know what makes Allah happy, and to know how to get ourselves out of trouble. This is what we're looking for. And we're not going to get that by insulting other people, especially somebody as close to us as the people of the book. Most of all of the people that I give shahada to used to be Christians. Almost all of the people we give shahada to used to be Christians. And ask yourself a question, how many do you know that came to Islam and they used to be Christians? Now today after the Salat al-Jummah, I was sitting there in the masjid and a gentleman came up to me speaking Arabic. And he's doing a, great job in Arabic. I know he's Arab. And then he said, I've been a Christian up until 4 years ago. I became a Muslim. And I said, that's amazing, because an Arab Christian going to Islam is not very likely. And there's a reason for that. It's because the Muslims have treated them so bad for so long, they hate Islam. They don't want to hear anything about it. It's like if you go to India and try to talk to the Hindus over there about Islam. They hate the idea. Don't even bring it up. Don't tell us. We know all about Muslims. We deal with them every day. Thank you. No. Thank you. This is what I heard while I was in Bangalore, when I was in Chennai. By the way, some of you know it, but I'll repeat this. Guess where I was on the 26th day of December of last year? You know that's when the tsunami hit, right? The earthquake and all that. Guess who was in India? Oops. I got to talk to my travel agent. You know why? just the month before that, you remember when they had the great big hurricane down in Florida? Guess who was driving in the middle of that across the bridge when the eye of the hurricane went between Tampa and St. Petersburg? I need a new travel agent. Anyway, when I went down there, I insisted that the brothers listen to me and that they've got to overcome this thing of being reactionary and trying to show your muscle off. Because these guys are big. They have a gym built into their Dawah center there. And they've got this place where they work out with the weights, and they've got all the kickboxing stuff and everything in there. And these guys are built. And they want to use this. They're going to show everybody who we are. I said, this is not how it works. This is not the way of the Prophet ﷺ. He didn't do that. In fact, he was very humble. He was very kind. He was very respectful, even when they were disrespectful to him. And he was one thing of all, patient, patient, patient. So this is something I kept insisting on. I don't want to give you the whole stories because you can go to our website, islamyesterday.com, and look for yourself. You can go to the audio part. You'll see Australia Visit. Just click on there and you'll hear the programs that I did. They're online and it's very easy to find. Just remember islamyesterday.com. You can do that. Now, another thing is that when I got there, they had, and me too, had worked with one of the people down there with the Christian side who was really going to do a nice thing. We're going to go out and show how we can put our hands together and work for some good in the society, talk about helping the poor, helping the abused, and helping people to know more about the righteous, good way to live, etc., without getting into salvation and without getting into our particular Aqidah, because we know that's going to be the problem. I'm not going to accept Jesus on a cross, and you're not either. But at the same time, we know that that man's not going to walk up there and say he accepts the Quran. So let's just talk about what we do accept together, where we can talk together, especially leaders of the faith groups. And we said, well, this would be great, and we'll do that. The boys picked up on that, and they decided, okay, and they formed a rugby team. This is a sport that they play over there. And the Christians had theirs, and they did competition, and it was great. They had a big barbecue, and of course the Muslims did the barbecue. Make sure everything's the biha, halal. And they fed those guys, and of course the Christians liked it because it was free, and everybody was happy. And they had a good time. So we were convinced that this was going to be our best event of all. But they said, well, while you're here, will you talk to some of these other leaders, other Christian leaders that have been attacking Islam? The first one they put me up with was Dr. David Milliken. Dr. David Milliken, I went online to check him out to find out about this guy. And he's really, really outspoken person. 18 years he's been running the ABC radio over there, a Christian radio, and knew what he was doing, knew what he was talking about. I read his articles. There's no two ways about it. This guy is not somebody you want to debate with, simply because he can just keep throwing stuff out there faster than you can come up with it. So when they put me up against him, we tried to make sure everybody understood I'm not there to debate people. I'm there just, trying to show that we're good guys, you're good guys, we all hate the devil, everybody believes in God, let's work with that. Well, he got the microphone first. And I had to shake my head and put my finger in my ear because I said, something's wrong, I'm not hearing the right thing. I heard him say that he wants to see the Sharia of Islam established as it used to be in Spain. And I went, huh? Wait a minute, did he pick up my notes and he went up there? What happened here? Where did this come from? And he started talking about Islam in the best way. And then he started picking on the Muslims, saying, why don't you guys get up and do the real Islam? And I'm going, that's my job. I'm supposed to do that in the Jummah. Look at this guy. And he went on and on and on. And when he got done, I said, there's not much for me to do here except go, that's right. But he also said some good things about Christians. He said, Christians also have had some times, especially the early Christians, when they stood up for what was right and righteous and so on and so on. And by the way, we believe that too. So when he was all done, I was amazed. I said, wow, look at that. And then that was an afternoon program, and we had a night program with that same gentleman a couple nights later. And I said, now, maybe he's going to trick me, maybe, because I can't believe that. He got up there, and our subject was about the devil, the devil's deception. And he again went first, and he again really ripped it up. Boy, I said, man, this is great. When he got done, though, it was some emergency in his family, he had to leave. So I got up there and I said, all I want to do is take the painting that this man has just put up here and just add a few touches. I don't want to undo anything he did. It's very beautiful. I just like to put in little details. And he smiled. He said, go right ahead. And I mentioned a few more little things here and there. And then, subhanallah, some of the people stood up and made shahada. The people that had come to this thing stood up and they said, we'd like to become Muslim. Women coming up on the stage crying, asking to get into Islam. I said, well, by gosh, this is, no worries, mate. I like it. This is working out really good for me. I'm enjoying this, So then I meet with the Reverend Fred Niles. This is somebody who had attacked Islam big time, and he has a parliamentary seat in there, and he's the head of the Christian party there. And he did not want to meet because he had been talked to about this other person who I'm not going to mention, about that they're going to do this debate, and he was like really ready for some kind of get down and dirty deal. I insisted, though, that we need to meet in his office and present what we have. As soon as we met, I found him to be a very spectacular gentleman. He's very, very, very educated and a very high-class person, very high-class. And he has a lot of the right kind of mannerism that a gentleman should have. You know what I mean? And he really said, please come in, sit down. And he stayed for hours after the closing time and told everybody, because he has control of this parliament. He's told them, everything is cool, if you the guards can do here, there, and so on, but leave us alone. And then when it came time for Salat, it was time for us to pray. He said, let me take you over here, and this is the bathroom, you can use this, and do you need anything else, and is this clean enough for you to pray on? I said, the carpet's never been walked on. Of course it's clean enough. It was really a high-class deal, right? When I got through leading the Salah, I turned around, and I saw him in the back of the room doing something. I went up back to him, talking to him. He told me, while you guys were praying, I wanted to pray with you, so I was praying along. I don't know what you were saying, because it was in Arabic. He said, but I was just praying to God to guide us. I said, well, pretty much that's what we said to Ihdina Siratal Mustaqim. And he was crying, telling us that this is the Islam that he had never dreamed about, he didn't know about. And he said, you guys have shown me something I never knew. This is good, this is wonderful. And I've changed my mind about everything. Yes. And he asked me, please stay in touch with me. And he gave me his card, everything. And so did the Reverend Dr. Milliken. I said, boy, this is too easy. This is too easy. And then the next night, I said, the next night, this is the big deal. Because the next big thing we had was the guy who had already been in touch with us. He's going to be a good guy. He's going to do so-and-so. There's always a catch in there. Well, that was a catch. Turns out some of the local Coptic Christians, Arab Christians, had gotten a hold of this guy and convinced him that there's no way you can ever do anything good with Muslims. Muslims are bad, and they have to be stopped, and you have to preach the message of Jesus on the cross, or you're going to go to hell. And the preacher went for that. So when he came, and they introduced it, he had his Bible and some other books in his hands, including the Quran. And I said, what's he doing this? That's okay, because guess what I had? I also had a Bible and the Quran with me. So I let him see it. Not that I want to do a debate with him, but let him understand, don't do that. Don't go there, okay? And I could see something's wrong, because he's not acting the way he talked on the phone for the months that we've been in touch. He's acting different. So I took the announcer aside and I said, come here. And I wrote in an extra line in the speech, the opening speech, this is not a debate, and there's not going to be any preaching. And then simply that we're here today to show how the two great faiths can work together for things that are good on this planet. The brother read it and then introduced him. He went first. And he got up there, and what do you think happened? He immediately started preaching that the Muslims are going to go to hell, that you have to believe in Jesus on the cross, and then he misquoted the Bible in the New Testament, and then he misquoted the Old Testament. It happens that I know both of them, and I know he's misquoting it. He's saying the wrong verses, and he's saying the wrong thing about the verses. And the brother's sitting by me, the one who had read the Quran in the opening program, he said, here's a paper and pencil, don't you want to make notes? I said, nope, I know exactly what's happening here. He said, well, you know, because you're going to respond, you need to make notes. I said, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Then he opened up the Quran and he began to misquote the Quran. And then he started quoting hadith, some of which happened to be fabricated hadith, but he was saying the wrong things again. And then he delivers his message, Jesus on the cross, and if you don't believe that, you're going to go to hell, blah, 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 blah. And then he came and sat down. By the way, it was supposed to be 30 minutes each, and I gave him 5 minutes from me, so he could have 35 minutes, and I'd take 25. What do you think happened? He spoke for a full hour. Yes. And when he got done, I got up and walked out. Because that is not why I traveled halfway around the entire world and across the equator. I did not do that so that somebody could play that kind of a game and insult not only all the Muslims on the planet, but even the Christians as well. Because that's an insult when you do something like that. I was disgusted. I walked out. The brothers came to me outside. They said, "Brother, you have to go back in. You have to give the speech. Come on, Sheikh, we need you, you know." I told him, I said, "I'm really upset about this, but I'll go back in." But guess what we found out? We found out that all of the cars in the parking lot and in the parking garage were covered up with paper on the windshields in Arabic, preaching Jesus on the cross. From who? Huh? And then the police show up, the riot squad. We got a call saying there was a riot over here and that people are killing people or something. And we told them, not yet. In fact, we said, you being here will just cause a bigger problem. Because I had to calm the brothers down. The brothers, the youth there, were ready to jump up and grab this man and anybody else with him and beat him into the ground. Just to show them, we fed you guys, we played ball with you guys, we did all this stuff with you guys, and this is how you act to us? Come on, man, that's no good. But the brothers told me, he said, if you don't go back in, then who will set the example for our youth? And then I had to remember, that's right, I'm not just here on my behalf, I'm here on all the Muslims' behalf around the world. I got to go back in, calm myself down, walk up on the stage, and give my presentation. So I did. I went back in there. People all came back in, they all sat back down. I walked up on the stage, took the microphone, and I said, Bismillah, alhamdulillah. Then I mentioned that I was real happy to finally get to come to Australia, a boyhood dream. Ever since I was a little boy, I wanted to come see the kangaroos. And I was real happy to come there and meet such wonderful people. And I did meet a lot of great people. And I had a good time. Until tonight. And I have to tell you, I'm very disappointed that I would travel halfway around the world and cross the equator to find somebody who would try to double cross and backfire on us all the work that we had tried to do. And it isn't worthy of starting a debate over, and I'm not going to respond to what this man has alleged, his accusations, and his misquotes out of the Bible, and his misunderstanding of the Quran. I'm not going to do that. Of course I just did, didn't I? I said I'm not going to do that. And I'm really disappointed, you know. All I'm going to do is tell you about 2 words and I'm going to be out of here. And I did. I told him about 2 words. First word is Islam. What does Islam mean? Submission, surrender, obedience, sincerity, and peace between you and your Creator. And the other word is Allah. The word Allah means the only one worthy to be worshipped, because it comes from Ilah, a God. But Allah is the only God. Can't be plural, can't be male or female. Then I broke it down. You can get those CDs from our website free and hear the whole thing. But the thing was, when I got done, everybody started cheering. And they were happy. Except a few people. The same people that were probably in the parking lot putting the papers out. And when I walked off the stage, I sat right back down beside the man and smiled at him. They did question and answers, and he tried to go up there again. He didn't do any good, because obviously at that stage, no matter what he said, he knew he messed up. And I answered some questions. And then we had to be careful, because there was a huge crowd. There was over 1,000 people. It was very crowded, and we were trying to keep people off the stage because we didn't know what people's intentions were, and we didn't have any real security there. And this one boy kept getting up on the stage, and finally I just told him, "Sir, you cannot be on the stage like this, okay?" He said, "But I want to become a Muslim. I want to enter Islam. What do I need to do?" I said, "Hold on, come here. You're in the right place." So we gave him Shahada, much to the chagrin of those others who had been so careful to try to produce their evidences for what salvation was and what they had. As soon as he entered Islam, another gentleman, and this is a big guy, stood up and he said, "I want to be a Muslim too." And he made his Shahada, tears running down his face. And then a couple of women stood up. They said, "We don't want to be on the stage. Can we do it over here?" We said, "Yeah." Again, crying and entering into Islam. Now here's the funny part. The preacher, when he got off, he went to the Muslim who organized everything. He said, "I think I just made the biggest mistake of my life tonight." And then when the Coptics, they speak Arabic, when they were leaving, they passed by one of the brothers there who happens to have no beard, and he doesn't look like Lebanese. He just looks like one of the local brothers. And so they didn't realize that he heard them. And the young one of the two was saying, "Oh yeah, we delivered our message tonight." And the old one said, "Shut up, they smashed us into the ground." But Allah did that, not us. We didn't respond. But look at the good that came out of it. And then in the newspapers, the journalists picked it up. There were journalists there that night. They had been told too that there was going to be a riot. They were ready. But instead they went back and said, "We got a different story to tell. Islam is something nice. Muslims are good people." And look what happened. While I was there, 12 people entered into Islam. Many people called in on the radio show. I did a radio show every morning, and then people would call in and tell us how much they appreciated what we had done and how great the whole effort was. They really made us feel good about what happened. And then came the incident in England in the subways. And guess what? Immediately all of the Christians came to the rescue of the Muslims and said, "We know our Muslims don't do stuff like that because we have close contact with them. We know who they are. We know what they're about and what they're upon." So alhamdulillah, you see how this produced something good. And inshallah, we ask Allah to keep that kind of motivation going. And in spite of what they try to do, and Allah tells us in the Quran, they plan and Allah plans. And who's the best of planners? Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen, huwa alladhi ja'alana muslimin. You're listening to Islam Tomorrow, broadcasting almost live today from right here in Mission Viejo. We'll be back after this. Stay tuned for more right here.